Alright, so I actually filmed this whole entire video already, but then I was rewatching it and I found out the thing cut off my head. Like, you could only see to like right here, and it was... Apparently my camera zoomed in without me realizing it before I pressed record. Yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna do something a little different today, and I know I've done a few tags before, but this time I'm going to make a tag. It's a model horse hobby tag. So it just kind of encompasses all of the model horse hobby. So I have a few questions here. I've got a lot because I have to be able to keep track of them, otherwise I forget. Ignore my like really terrible paint shirt, by the way. This is like gross shirt. Ugh. But anyways, so I'll go over the questions first and then I'll answer the questions. And all of the questions will be written right here, I guess, like here, however low it is. But it'll actually be written down while I'm asking the questions, so you don't have to be like, wait, what did she just say? So, question number 1. When did you start collecting? And who was your first model? Question number 2. What brand did you start with? Schleich, Breyer, Peter Stone, Customs, anything like that. What did you start with? And what about now? What do you focus on now? Do you focus on Breyers? Do you focus on Customs? Do you focus on resins? What do you focus on right now? And number 3. Do you show? Do you live show? And if you do, when did you start showing? And have you ever been to NAN, the North American Nationals? Have you ever been there? And number 4. Do you customize? And if you do customize, when did you start? And what mediums do you focus on? Like, what mediums are your best mediums or whatever? Number 5. What other things do you do in the hobby? Do you make tack? Do you make photo setups? Do you photo show? Do you judge shows? Anything else besides collecting, showing, and customizing? What else do you do? Number 6. Have you ever been to Breyerfest? Have you ever been to Breyerfest, Outerly Horses Hullabaloo, Equilocity? Have you ever been to any of those big Breyerfest type events? Have you ever been to them? Number 7. What's your favorite part of collecting? Like just collecting itself. What's your favorite part? What makes you want to keep collecting? And number 8, to go along that same idea, what is your favorite part of the hobby? The hobby itself, like the people in the hobby. Like, what do you like about your fellow hobbyists as compared to other hobbies or whatever? You'll get what I mean when I answer the question, I guess. I don't know. Number 9, do you have a Model Horse Blab account? If you do, what is it? And your YouTube. I'm sure most of you have a YouTube because you're watching this and probably going to be commenting on this. What do you like to do on your channel? Do you make tutorials? Do you make movies? Do you do photo shows? Do you do collection tours? What do you do? And last one, number 10. What are some tips you have for collectors, whether they be new collectors, like people just barely getting into the hobby, people that have been in the hobby for years, or just any hobbyist? What are some tips that you have? And now I will get into answering my questions. All right, number 1, when did I start collecting? So I've told you this story a million times probably, but I started collecting Breyers back in 2006. And Goffert, the Friesian, was my first model. But as far as collecting model horses themselves go, I'd say it was probably in about 2005 when I started buying Schleich horses. Because, I mean, they were considerably more affordable than Breyers. Where'd you go? Not you. My first Schleich was actually this girl right here. She's going to be repainted here soon, but she was my first Schleich. She's all scuffed up now. I took her in my backpack a lot to school. Don't know really why, but I was a lot more careful once I started collecting briars. I noticed that. Number 2. What brand did I start with? I already answered that. Started with Schleich's. And right now I'm focusing on briars. I do mostly briars. I bought one Peter Stone, but I sold him. I had him for like 6 months, then I'm like, nope, I'm done. I don't want stones. I don't want stones. So I sold my stone model. And I also kind of want to get kind of into resins and customs. I want to start buying a couple resins here and there. Obviously it won't ever be as big as my briar collection, but you get the idea. Do I show? Yes, I do. I started showing back in 2007 at Pioneer Classic. And I only show once a year, except for a couple of years where I don't show because the show wasn't being held. But, yeah, I did start in 2007. And have I ever been to the North American Nationals? No, I have not. I have plenty of NAN cards. I have lots of NAN cards. I mean, I have a stack like that big of NAN cards just from like 7 years, 6 or 7 years worth of shows. At one show a year, so it's pretty good, I think. So, I mean, I'm eligible to go, but I mean, it's never close by where I live. Hopefully I'll be able to go once I'm out of college and I can travel more, you know, stuff like that. Do I customize? Indeed I do. And I started customizing, I guess if you want to say, like, technically I started customizing in 2007 or 8 when I did like 2 decorator models, but that was it. Then I like didn't do anything, but I don't really think those count as customizing because those came in like a little kit thing, so I don't really count those, I guess. But I officially started customizing just in 2013, in like January of 2013. And this was actually my very first custom. This little tiny micro mini quarter horse. He was my very first one. I painted him in acrylics, and that's what I started out with. I started out with all acrylics. That was it. And then, like, you know, just like the little drawer open, like just like craft paint acrylics, you know. And then in like April, May, sometime like that, in 2013, I decided to don't do that. I decided to break down and get some pastels. And I tried one horse in all pastels, and I mean, I guess it kind of worked out, but I don't really like pastels very much. I mean, they're not my favorite, so now I do kind of like mixed media where I'll do the whole base coat in acrylic, and then I'll go over it in pastels for like shading, highlighting, stuff like that. Make it really soft. But lately I've actually been wanting to buy an airbrush, so I'm hoping within the next few weeks here I'll be able to actually purchase an airbrush and start playing around with it, seeing if I like it. Hopefully I will. That'd be a waste of money, but I'll start playing around with an airbrush for my customizing, so hopefully that'll be nice. And yeah, so those are the mediums I use. I'm getting pen all over me. What other things do I do? I don't really do much. I've participated in a few photo shows before, but I don't really like photo shows as much as live shows. It's not the same. I mean, I guess if you've never been to a live show, then photo shows can be kind of fun, but it's not the same. It's just really not the same. And then I don't make tack or anything like that. I do some photography with my horses, but never realistic photography. More just like, here's my way to document my models. Yeah. Have I ever been to Briarfest, Little Horses Hullabaloo, Equilocity, anything like that? No, I have not, sadly. I initially was planning on going in 2016, but because that was when I was initially thinking I was going to be out of college. I was like, oh cool, it's going to take 4 years. Little does anyone know that 99% of the time it takes more than 4 years to finish your college program, especially if you go, like, depending on what degree you go in, of course. I mean, some degrees you can be done in like 2 years, and I'm jealous. But in my degree, it does take a little bit longer to actually graduate. There's just so many classes involved, and since I have a job, I can't take too many classes a semester, and it gets really expensive the more classes that you take, and I can't do summer classes because summer classes are like twice as expensive and my loan doesn't cover summer. So yeah, otherwise I'd be done like in 2016. But anyways, hopefully I'll be able to go like in like 2018 or something like that, or whenever I happen to go. That's my favorite part of collecting. I just love being able to collect what I want to. Like, if I can, like, if I wanted to focus my entire collection on stock horses, cool, I can focus my entire collection on stock horses. No one can tell me otherwise. It's just something that I can collect what I like. I don't have to feel inclined to collect every single model horse out there. It's like car collecting. You just, or model car collecting. You can just collect what ones you like. You can be like, oh, I really like this one, so I'm going to buy this one. Or like, oh, I don't really like that one, so I'm not going to buy that one. I mean, of course, you have like themes. Like, you know, I always collect the Christmas horses, so even if it's not a mold that I particularly like I don't really like 2014's horse. I don't really like Esprit, but I collect all the Christmas horses, so I'm like, okay, I'll buy him just because he's a Christmas horse. But you can just collect what you want. What in the world? I think that was a garbage truck. I don't know. Anyways, as I'm freaking out about truck noises outside. Where was I? You can collect whatever you want, so that's nice. And number 8, what's my favorite part about the hobby? Everyone's just so nice. I mean, everyone is so nice, so polite, so helpful in this hobby. I mean, everyone is so intent on helping new collectors. Everyone's just like, oh my gosh, we have a new collector, let's go help them. It's amazing. I mean, everyone is so nice. Of course, you do have those outliers that are like really rude and ugh, they're just mean and you just want to smack them in the face. But those are few and far between. So I think that's nice. And I mean, you don't have a lot of hobbyists doing anything illegal. You don't have a lot of hobbyists like that are drug addicts or anything like that, because horses are expensive. You don't have extra money to spend on drugs. So that's probably a good thing. But of course, like I said, you do have those outliers, but for the most part, everyone's pretty cool with the law. So I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with that. Yeah, everyone's just really, really nice. No one's rude or pushy. No one tells you like, oh, you have to have this model or your collection sucks, you know. Everyone's cool. Do I have a Model Horse Blab account? Indeed I do. I am Wild Spirit on Blab, which is WYLD-Spirit on Blab. I'll write it down somewhere. Like here. Cue white text showing up. But that's my account on there. And as far as YouTube goes, you all know that I love doing tutorials. Tutorials are great. I love doing model horse show videos. I love showing my customs. I tend to do a little bit of everything but movie making. I don't do movies. I just don't. Tips. Don't let anyone make you feel embarrassed about your collection. I know it seems kind of weird to collect plastic horses, but, and you know, some people think that's really weird, and I understand. I mean, they're like, oh, you're collecting toys and stuff like that, but don't let them make you feel like it's an embarrassing hobby. It's cool. I mean, it's just like, if someone tells someone they collect model cars or model trains, no one gives them a second glance. No one's like, oh, why do you collect toys? And then they're like, oh, that's really cool. I love model trains. But yet the second you say, oh yeah, I collect model, the second you're like, oh yeah, I collect model horses. Put that down now. But the second you say, oh, I collect model horses, people are like, why do you collect toys? You're 20 years old. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. There's people that collect dolls and no one cares. But the second you collect a model horse, everyone freaks out at you. I don't know why. Why are people so mean? But don't be embarrassed of your hobby. It's a cool hobby. There's a lot of us in this hobby, and we all love what we do. It's something that you just love. You can bring out your inner 10-year-old, whatever. But it's just such a fun hobby. It really is. Even if they're, I mean, when I was like 13, when I started collecting briars, I didn't tell a lot of people that I collected briars, because anytime I did, people would look at me like, you're 13 years old. You shouldn't be collecting toys. You'd go more into sophisticated things. But, and so I didn't tell anyone for a long time, because I was afraid that they would be like, oh, why do you still do that? And I mean, people still do that now, but I'm less scared to tell them. I'm like, I'm 20 years old now, and I'm happy to say, I collect model horses. I have over 200 model horses. They're plastic horses, and I collect them. People will give me funky looks like, you're 20 years old, why do you do this? That's really weird. But honestly, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, you all collect your Iron Man figurines and all your Avengers and all your Marvel figures, and you have your model cars and all your this stuff and all your porcelain dolls, and yet you're getting mad at me because I collect horses. Whatever. I don't care. They're my horses, my collection. I do what I want. So, just don't be afraid to tell people what you like. Don't be embarrassed, even if they tell you that it's a stupid thing to get into. Remind them that, like, I'm sure you know at least 2 people that collect cars or trains or whatever. And yeah, so I'm rambling again. This is probably going to be a long video and take forever to upload. But, so yeah, that's about it. That's my tag for you guys. Feel free to do it if you want, and comment in my video if you do end up doing it, so then I can check out your video. So yeah, I think that's it. That might have been all that I said in the one before it cut off my head. But hopefully this one doesn't cut off my head. But anyways, all done. Wild Spirit out.